Today, we are diving into the incredible science behind a life-saving antidote called pralidoxime. We're going to explore how this single molecule can literally reverse the effects of some of the world's most deadly poisons, pulling someone back from the absolute brink of death. So, think about it like this. Your nervous system is basically a giant network of light switches, right? One switch flips on to send a signal, say telling a muscle to move, and another flips it right back off. But what if that off switch just broke? What if every single command got stuck in the on position forever? Well, that is the terrifying reality of nerve agent and certain types of pesticide poisoning. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at what this chemical attack actually is. Then, we'll see how the body's off switch is supposed to work. After that, we'll introduce the molecular key that fixes the whole mess, talk about how you get the antidote into someone, and wrap up with the really important rules of engagement. Okay, let's start with the attack itself. To really appreciate the antidote, you first have to understand the enemy. And the villains in our story today are organophosphates and nerve agents. These are some seriously toxic chemicals designed to do one thing: completely cripple the nervous system. So, pralidoxime is built for very specific, very nasty emergencies. We're talking about two worlds that seem pretty different but share the same chemical threat. On one hand, you have exposure to agricultural pesticides, these organophosphates. On the other, the horrifying possibility of chemical warfare with nerve agents. But here's the thing. Even though they come from different places, the way they attack the body, it's exactly the same. So how does this attack actually work inside our bodies? Well, to get how the poison wreaks havoc, and more importantly, how the antidote fixes it, we need to take a quick look at how that off switch is supposed to function in the first place. The star of this whole biological show is an enzyme with a bit of a mouthful of a name: acetylcholinesterase. But don't worry about that. You can just think of it as the nervous system's official cleanup crew. Its entire job is to sweep up a chemical signal right after a nerve has fired, which stops that signal from just repeating over and over and over again. Normally, this process is super elegant and simple. A signal gets sent using a chemical messenger called acetylcholine. That messenger tells a muscle or an organ what to do. As soon as the job is done, our cleanup crew, acetylcholinesterase, jumps in, breaks down the messenger, and boom, the signal is over. It's clean, it's efficient, it's perfect. But here, this is where everything goes horribly wrong. These poisons, organophosphates and nerve agents, they are specifically designed to attack and completely disable that cleanup crew. So what happens when acetylcholinesterase is just taken out of the picture? The result is pure chaos. Without that cleanup crew, the signal chemical, acetylcholine, just keeps building up and up and up. That on switch is now permanently jammed on. And this leads to this catastrophic failure where the body's automated systems, we're talking breathing, heart rate, digestion, they all go into a dangerous overdrive. It's a total system meltdown. But even in the middle of all that chaos, there is a solution. And now it's time to introduce the hero of our story, a tiny molecular key, custom-built to fix this exact problem. Meet pralidoxime.
Pralidoxime, which also goes by 2-PAM, is what's called a cholinesterase reactivator. Its mission is so beautifully specific, it's amazing. It basically hunts down that poisoned enzyme, our disabled cleanup crew, and it chemically breaks the bond the poison has on it. It literally pries the poison off, freeing the enzyme to get right back to its job.
And here it is, the aha moment. On the left, you've got the problem. The enzyme is blocked, signals are firing non-stop, the system is in total chaos. Then, on the right, the solution. Pralidoxime shows up like the perfect key for the lock. It frees the enzyme, the cleanup crew gets back to work, the extra signals are cleared out, and just like that, biological order is restored. It's a direct, targeted chemical rescue mission.
Okay, so we get the theory, right? We know how it works, but how do we get this molecular hero to the front lines in a real-life emergency? Well, that brings us to actually administering the antidote.
Pralidoxime is packaged for one thing: speed. For first responders in the military, it often comes in these autoinjectors. And these devices don't just deliver a pre-measured dose of pralidoxime, they often combine it with another drug called atropine. Think of it like this: pralidoxime fixes the root cause. It reactivates the enzyme. But atropine helps manage the immediate life-threatening symptoms. It's an incredibly powerful 1-2 punch. And in these situations, speed is absolutely everything. After it's injected, pralidoxime starts working in just minutes. When you're in a life-or-death situation, every single second counts, and that rapid onset is what saves lives. Now, the dose depends entirely on how bad the poisoning is. For a pretty mild case, a patient might just get a standard dose with a few follow-ups if needed. But for a severe, life-threatening exposure, they might need multiple doses slammed in immediately. The goal is simple: get enough of the antidote into the system to overwhelm the poison, and do it as fast as humanly possible.
Finally, let's talk about the rules of engagement. Because like any powerful tool, you have to use pralidoxime correctly, and you have to know its risks and its limits.
Look, while this stuff is a lifesaver, it's not without potential side effects. I mean, suddenly restarting all of the body's off switches can be a bit of a shock to the system itself, sometimes causing things like a rapid heart rate or high blood pressure. But of course, in an emergency, those risks are weighed against the absolute certainty of death from the poison. It's a pretty easy choice to make.
And being specific is absolutely crucial. Pralidoxime is a master key for organophosphate and nerve agent poisoning. But, and this is a big but, it is not effective against a different, similar-sounding class of pesticides called carbamates. They might cause similar symptoms, but the way they bind to the enzyme is different. Using this powerful key on the wrong lock won't help, and it could actually make things worse.
There are also 3 golden rules for using it. First, timing is everything. The antidote works best when it's given as soon as possible after someone's been exposed. Second, the patient's underlying health matters. Someone with kidney problems, for example, is going to need a smaller dose. And third, a really critical safety rule: it can never be mixed in the same syringe with other drugs.
And this really brings us to the kind of incredibly high-stakes decisions that doctors and medics have to make. What if the patient is pregnant? Well, the official guidance is crystal clear. If the drug is needed, it should not be withheld. In a true life-or-death situation, saving the mother's life is the absolute priority.
Pralidoxime is just an amazing testament to the power of biochemistry. It's a molecular key, precisely designed to fit a very specific and deadly lock. And it leaves us with one final, really important question. In a world with constantly evolving chemical threats, how many other life-saving keys, just like this one, are still out there, just waiting for us to discover them?